the enemy, and boom, we got the manifestation in the life we ought to be striving for and seeing made manifest in our times of assembly.
Right.
And it is so.
And it is so.
All right. And it reads, you have it. Luke 4:38 and 39. Luke 4:38 and 39.
And it is so.
Okay.
And it's Luke 4:38 reads, and he arose out of the synagogue and entered into Shimon's house. And Shimon's wife, mother, was taken with a great fever, and they besought him for her. And he stood to and he stood over her and rebuked the fever and left her. And immediately she arose and ministered unto them.
And it is so. 3 accounts that we see this happen. Lifted her hand, rebuked the fever. Either way, she came forth and was able to do what she knew her mission or her call was to do. Awesome. All right. Yahush healed many after sunset as they left their place after Shabbat. So after they left Shabbat, he healed them. Now you have to follow what I'm about to say with this. And I hope no one takes offense, because I don't take offense to it, because I don't want this to be me. That when you leave, a person leaves the service and they come in with what they have and they leave out with it. Or they leave worse. Fulfill our obligation. Are you hearing me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He told us what he had come to do, and then he told us, greater work shall ye do. The Sabbath is a time of rest, but it is also a time for us when we come in obedience to see healing and the manifestation of deliverance in our lives.
Huh. Yeah.
That is what we are, or what we expect and see. For a person to leave in hospital, something wrong with that.
Right.
They had to leave from now watch this, listen to what I'm saying. They were walking in obedience during the Shabbat, but they were not getting what they needed until he came on the scene. Now watch this. He's already on the scene in our lives, and we are celebrating the Shabbat and we're walking in it. Now we have to, listen at this, ask if there's anyone with disease or sickness in our midst, what is it that we're not doing that where they're not receiving their healing, their total healing?
God.
Because we want people to be healed and delivered and brought forth.
That's right. God.
Not going from Sabbath to Sabbath with the same ailments or the same issues. We're seeing healing take place. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Which is a part of our what? Recovery. Recovery, restoration.
God.
So a part of my recovery is healing. It's healing. Are you hearing me? All right. Meti Yahu chapter 8. And we're going to go to 16 and 17. And then Moshe, Yehukin and Moshe, chapter 1, 32 and 34. And Luke chapter 4, 40, 41. So we're just going over, but it's broken down, showing us each thing he did. Each verse is representing what took place. All right. Matthew chapter 8, verse 16 and 17. Also, Yehukin and Moshe chapter 1, verses 32 and 34. Luke chapter 4, verses 40 and 41. When you have it, let me say it is so, and that way we can read. We want to start with Matthew first, chapter 8, verses 16 and 17. And it is so. And it is so. All right, read that for me.
When evening came, they brought to him many who were demon possessed. He drove out the spirits with a word and healed all who were sick, so that what spoken to the prophet Yashiyahu might be fulfilled. And it is so.
Okay. Does it read what the prophet said?
He himself took our weaknesses and carried our disease.
Mm-hmm. Now, mind you, as I read it in the beginning, where it said that the breaking up and the numbering and removing all those things didn't come in till later on. So, but they knew, okay, you read this portion, that portion, and you sit it down. But now we have it broken up, but all that is one. Now, when the evening came, they brought to him many who were possessed with demons. Many. And he cast out the spirits with his word and healed all they were sick. He healed them with what? Or he cast it out with what? His word, which would be the what? The Torah. Because he is the Torah what? Made flesh. So you know that lie that the Torah was weak and that couldn't save man and it couldn't do anything. That's a lie. Because the Torah brought forth deliverance and salvation. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
So it's important that we understand these things. Now listen what it says. And heal all that were sick. Thus it was fulfilled which was spoken by Yahshua the prophet. He took our infirmities and bore our sicknesses. He's not talking about, many people want to say he was talking about Yahshua. Yahshua was the one that's sick. We can't bear nobody's infirmities and pains because we have our own. But he did this. So once again, another validation and another testimony of what he did and what he continues to do, seated at the right hand of the Abba. And it is so. All right, let us read. Chapter 1, verses 32 and 33.
And it reads, and when evening came, when the sun had set, they brought to him all who were sick and those who were demon possessed. And the entire city had gathered at the door. And he healed many who were sick with various diseases and cast out many demons, and was not allowing the demons to speak because they knew him.
And it is so. Now y'all know when the entire village gathered at the door, that's a lot of people at the door. And he coming in and he bringing forth that healing. It's an assembly line. They just coming in. But he came to do that. Remember that we read in Yahshua 61 and 2. For the Ruach hath anointed me or appointed me to preach and to bring forth these things. So he was doing just what he told them he was going to do in the synagogue, and they got angry with him. So he was doing just what he had come or was placed here to do. Once again, remember, he didn't just come to gather the prostituting sheep of Yahshua, according to Matthew Yahuwah, to bring them to a place of understanding of who they are and even who we are and what our purpose is. So it is important that we do not reject the one that holds the key to our salvation in his hand. Because when you do that, where and who do you see from? How do you understand what and how you are to govern yourself? If the key person you reject because of something somebody else said doesn't exist, when the enemy has always throughout history has tried to defame him and has tried to make him make his position and his way and his life invalid, and has always tried to say he's not real. Without him, what can you do? Where does your healing come from? Where does your deliverance come from? They didn't get delivered by slaughtering animals. They only got covered. The blood only covered them.
Right.
But now you're going to reject the one that not only covers us with his blood, but delivers us and brings us into a place of shalom and brings us into a place of healing and deliverance. You're foolish. You're foolish. And you need to go back and re-examine the information that made you turn from him, the rock. He's our rock. Let him not be a stumbling block to you because of somebody else's information. I'm not going to stumble because somebody else stumbled because they can't interpret it or understand it. So we have to be careful with these things. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Very important. All right, now let us read Luke 4:40 and 41. Once again, it is just giving us example and also another witness as to what took place from his called out ones or his disciples. All right, it is. Come on.
Luke chapter 4, verses 40 and 41. When the sun was setting, the people brought to Yahushua all who had various kinds of sickness, and laying his hands on each one, he healed them. Moreover, demons came out of many people shouting, "You are the son of power." But he rebuked them and would not allow them to speak, because he was the Mashiach.
Into the sun. Mm. So they went getting family members, acquaintances, and with various diseases, and they brought them. And he laid his hands on every one of them and healed them. Every one of them, not one of them walked away without what they were brought there to receive. Now, y'all may get angry with me what I'm about to say. This is where you have to examine Christianity. They were brought there because they believed. Now, mind you, the person that might have been sick may not have been able to believe, or they were believers. But the bottom line is, Yahush healed them. Mm-hmm. Not one left without it. You promise, you go to these so-called healing services. You go to these so-called deliverance services, and you go in and people come out. Yeah, I got my healing. Then you see those that, well, maybe next time, maybe it's your belief. Okay, wait a minute. But if you brought me here to get this, then why do I walk away? If I didn't believe, I wouldn't be here. And then I walk away because you say now it's my faith or my belief. What about it's wrong, period, because it's not being done right? If none of us have umbrellas, then aren't we all supposed to get wet? So that means if I go to a healing service that I am promised I'm going to get healed, whether I believe or not, guess what? I'm going to get healed. Sure. Because the power that's there is supposed to go beyond my belief. Are you following that? This may mess up some folks' theology, but if I'm brought there and I go, even if I have second thoughts, if I go there, I'm supposed to be healed. Are y'all hearing me?
Yes.
Why? Because I've been brought to that place for that. There are some things that are contingent upon your belief, and then there are some things contingent upon what is being given out. And that was for the children of Yahshua. That's why he healed every last one of them. It didn't say based upon their belief. Are you following me?
Yes.
Why? Because they are the children. They were the children. Healing is for the children. Healing is the children's bread. Even if I go and I say, now listen at this, y'all. This is why we have to make sure that in our life and in our walk that we don't disqualify ourselves. If we don't take a piece of that bread and apply it, we will never have it. Okay. What am I saying? My children know that whatever is here, they can have it. Are you following me?
Yes.
Well, they say, well, I'm going to go in the refrigerator. I'm going to ask, can I have this? Ask for what is already yours. You just have to what? Receive it. All they had to do was receive what he was passing out because it was rightfully what? Theirs. It's mine. I am healed. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
If you know you got something going on or something trying to fester, you need to put your hand on your chest and say, I'm healed.
That's right.
Y'all don't believe it. I gave you an order. Not an order in that respect, but if you got a sickness in your body or something going on, put your hand on your chest and say, I'm healed.
I'm healed.
Say it again like you mean it. I'm healed.
I'm healed.
Why are we healed? Because it belongs to us. We don't have to jump through no hoops. We don't have to go through no changes. They were brought there. Now listen at this. They didn't stand in line and ask for healing. They were brought there to receive what was theirs. If you take me to a place, you say, I'm taking you here because I want to give you this, then I don't have to ask you to give it to me. You're taking me there for me to do what? Receive it. So all we have to do is receive it. Receive the gift of healing that he's given unto us because it belongs to us. This is a part of our recovery. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Every one of them and healed them. Demons also came out of many crying out, you are Mashiach, the son of Yahuwah. He rebuked them and did not allow them to speak further because they knew he was the Mashiach. Let me show y'all something. There are phases of his ministry. He had to first be known as the prophet, as the healer. Then he has come as he continues to move and he gets the attention of the people. Then he becomes to them the Mashiach. Phases. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
They had to grow into. That's why he didn't want the demons to reveal too soon who he was to the people, because they were not ready yet.
Wow.
Are y'all following me?
Yes.
So it's important that we understand this is how he was doing things as we continue to follow. That's why he could tell them, be quiet. You're not going to reveal to them. It's almost like opening up a gift before time. You reveal some stuff too soon, people get funny and act crazy with you. So he had to make them be quiet. And it is so.
It is.
All right, Yahush departs from Kephar Nahum. The fishermen refused to follow him on his first itinerary. All right, let's look at this. This is in Yehukin and Moshe 1:35 and 38. And Luke 4:42 and 43. Once again, we stay right within that because it's just breaking up, showing us the different events that have taken place and are taking place throughout the chapters. And it is so.
And it is so.
All right, let's look at Yehukin and Moshe, which is Mark chapter 1. Let's look at verses 35 through 38. And it is so.
And having risen very early in the day, while still dark, he went out to a lonely place, and there he prayed. And Shimon, those who were with him, searched for him. And when they found him, they said to him, all are seeking you. Verse 38. Verse 38. And he said to them, let us go into the neighboring towns, so that I proclaim there also, because for this I have come forth. And it is so.
And it is so. All right, now, when we look at this, it says, in the morning, rising up a great while before Yom, meaning it was still nighttime and it wasn't going to be light for a moment. He left Kephar Nahum and departed into a solitary place, and there he prayed. One thing about prayer, y'all, is which many times it is, I want to say in our nation, but sometimes we're not careful. We will take prayer to be that, drive through or drive by, go order and then go pay for it and keep on going. When you go to the drive through, and you go in and they say, can I take your order? And you tell them what your order is and you leave. You don't spend time and talk with them. Whereas you go into a restaurant and you have a waiter.
Mm-hmm.
It's a difference. The waiter waits on you to make your decision, and they'll say, well, I'll come back to you. And they stand there and they give you, and you look and you say, well, you really have to dialogue with this person. When we go into a time of prayer, it is a time of dialoguing, monologuing. There are times when you listen and there are times when you talk, not drive by. Make your order, pay, and keep on going. Many times we can be guilty of this because we're trying to hurry up and get stuff done. I know for sure I've been guilty of that. I got all this to do. I got all this stuff on my plate. I got to get this typed up, that typed up. And you go and you do that drive-by prayer. You go and order from the menu, and then you make your payment. Thank you, Abba Yahuwah, praise you, and go on. But that quiet where you stay there and you're intimate with him, to where you are talking to him, to where now the tears begin to well, because you realize, you know what, me talking and I'm listening to you, Abba Yahuwah. There's just something about being in his presence. There's just something about being to talk to him. I don't know about you, but there are times when I start talking to him, it just gets emotional for me. But we got to learn how to take that time to pray, to stay in his presence, really stay in that moment. Be still, don't do nothing, but just stay there and pray and talk with him, and then listen. Listen. Sometimes we be so busy that we make our request that we don't listen that if he has a request for us on the young. What is your request? What did he request you to do something? We don't know if we're so busy and we're so quick. Are you following me?
Yes.
And it says Shimon, and it said he went and there he prayed. And Shimon and those with him followed after Yahush. When they found him, they said, everyone wants you. But listen at this. But Yahush replied, come, let us go into the other villages so that I can preach there also. This is the reason I was sent. Now, mind you, he never even addressed him saying that the other people wanted him. He said, I got to go to these places too because I have to make known what I make. He had to go because he understood what his purpose was. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Very important. All right, now let's look at, now this is what it said here, according to verse 38. When he asked them, it says, though Yahushua invited the fishermen to accompany him on his teaching itinerary around the Galilee, they went back to their fishing business. Yahushua will return in 3 weeks to make another invitation. And we will see that. And these are called events. That will be in event 61. Now we're about to look, we're going to steal this event 59. And so let's look at Luke chapter 4, verses 42 and 43. So once again, it's showing us everything that had taken place so that we can understand that it's just not a whole lot of stuff going on without structure and without there's a reason for it being this way or it going that way. Okay. All right. Let's read Luke chapter 4, verses 42 and 43. All right.
Luke chapter 4, verses 42 and 43.
Mm-hmm.
And when it was young, he departed and went into a desert place. And the people sought him and came unto him and stayed him, that he should not depart from them. And he said unto them, I must proclaim the kingdom of Yahuwah to other cities also, for therefore am I sent.
And it is so. So many times there were those that were trying to keep him and make him stay in places he knew he couldn't stay. He knew I got to keep moving because I got to make my rounds. I got to go. Now you have to understand, once again, they knew what they had and they were trying their best to make him stay. He said, no, let me tell you, this is the reason I was sent. This is why we must understand the reason why we were awakened. We were awakened to show forth the power and to bring others to an awareness of who they are. Of who they are. And then when we get together during the feast time, this is the time where we are now imparted because Abba Yahuwah now what refreshes us as a whole, gives us, refresh us, let us know, either continue with the assignment, go to the next assignment. This is that time. And this is why we cannot afford to miss Sabbath or the feasts, because this is the time when we get our assignments.
Right.
And it is so. All right, we got two more. We're going to do event 61 and 60 and 61. Now, Yahushua preaches in synagogues throughout Galilee. Great multitudes respond to his ministry. All right, that's Yahu chapter 4, verses 23 to 35, a little longer. And then Moshe, Yehukin and Moshe 1 and 39, and Luke 4 and 44. All right, let's read.
Chapter 4, verse 20 to 25.
Mm-hmm. 25. Yeah, it's going to be 25.
Yahushua was going all over Galilee, teaching in their synagogues, preaching the great news of the kingdom, and healing every disease and sickness among the people. When the news about him spread throughout Syria, so they brought him to all those who were afflicted, those suffering from various diseases and intense pains, the demon-possessed, the epileptics, and the paralytics, and to heal them. Large crowds followed him from Galilee, Decapolis, Jerusalem, Judea, and beyond the Jordan.
And it is so. And it is so. Now, once again, listen to this. I'm sorry, I gave the wrong verse. It's supposed to be Yahu 4:23 to 25, not 35, to 25. Yahushua went around all the Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the Besorah of the kingdom. He healed all manner of sicknesses and all manner of diseases among the people. Among who? Among our people. We are some of the most people that have some of the, some of our people have been so disease riddled till it's not funny. And it's the truth. We are, when it comes down to it, some of the most people that suffer with everything. If it ain't our knees, it's our eyes. If it ain't our eyes, it's our hearing. We are a people. We are people. It's our back. This is what we suffer that are in truth. We deal with these things. And this is what Yahushua came to do, was to bring forth healing. That was his mission. And so he went healing. And through this and through all manner of disease among the people. Once again, when you hear the term people, you're thinking everybody. No, he's directly going to our people. Because our people are the ones that suffering high blood pressure, low blood pressure, high cholesterol. Are you hearing me? We suffer with everything. And he came, once again, this is the first part of recovery, is bringing us into a place of healing. His fame also spread throughout all Syria. They brought to him all sick people that were taken with diverse diseases and torments, and those who were possessed with demons, and those who were lunatics, and those that had the palsy. He healed them all, great multitudes from the Galilee, and from the Decapolis, and from Jerusalem, and from Yehuda, and from beyond the Jordan followed him. Now you have to understand, this is where all of our people were what? Centered. This is where all our people were. And that's where he did. He brought forth healing. Now, mind you, once again, he's bringing them to a place of wholeness. Why? Because this is the time of the feast. We're getting ready to get into the feast. So he's bringing them to this place. And so this is what is taking place. And this is the place. Now, mind you, these were open doors for him. He went into the synagogues. Now, if you notice that when he went into these synagogues, we don't read about him being tossed out of them fighting him. I've learned this. If you're not asked, don't let's ask you up. In other words, if this is a door that's not open, don't force your way into it because it's not going to be productive.
Right.
He went to these places and they were receptive to what he was doing. This is why we have to pray. Give me an ear to hear where the cry is.
Right.
Give me a heart and a ruach of discernment to know where I need to be and where I need to position myself to be to be a mouthpiece and to be your mora in a place where you have assigned me to be. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Because if not, guess what we're doing? We're spinning our wheels.
Right.
And we're fighting against a people that most of the time the Abba is not even dealing with.
Right.
You know, that's like trying to feed a person that don't want to be fed. You're going to force them to eat? No, you can't do that because now that person can turn right around, regurgitate it up, and you wasted quality, great food on a people that don't want it. That is why we see he sent himself in the places that he knew he was sent to. Many say, well, how do we know? Pray. Give me an ear, Abba Yahuwah. Show me where I need to go. Show me where the cry is. Show me where the longing is. Show me where the heart desire is, and they want to know this truth. There are many churches I pass by, and my heart says, do I go in? Because I don't want nobody trying to put their hands on me. Trying to throw me out because I'm trying to tell you truth, or you got people all up in folk face acting a fool. No. We don't have to go in place. Because remember, he tells us, don't cast our bread to the dogs. Good bread, great bread, meaning your Torah. Don't give it to those that are not in covenant and don't want it. So we need to know the people that want it so that we can show it to them. They'll be receptive. Why? Because they'll be willing to receive everything that this encompasses. The lifestyle change. They're ready for it. They want it. But for people that don't, you fighting a lost cause. Somebody said, well, what about the people in time? Because remember, one waters, one planted, but the Abba gives the increase. These were people that were ready and receptive, and that's why he could do what he went to do. Are you following me?
Yes.
Now, once again, let's look at Yehukin and Moshe 1 and 39, and then Luke 4 and 44.
Chapter 1, verse 39.
Mm-hmm.
And it reads, and he was proclaiming in their assembly in all Galilee and casting out demons. And a leopard came to him, calling upon him, kneeling down to him, and saying to him, if you desire, you are able to make me clean. Luke and Moshe, chapter 1, 39.
Yeah, you read 39.
39 and verse 3.
Okay. 39 says, Yahush preached in their synagogues throughout all the Galilee and cast out demons. There's something about the stirring up and preaching in places and bringing this truth that it stirs up demonic activity and it stirs it up in the people. Stir it up in them. Luke 4:44, Yahush preached in the synagogues of the Galilee. There was a place, a general, in other words, where he was a general location to where he could hit each place. He had that place to where he was called, and this is where he made his greatest impact. Because remember, he told them when he spoke to them, where he talked about verse 61 and chapter 61 verses 1 and 2, and then he began to tell them that a prophet is not without honor except in his own country. And so he began to tell him that there was going to be things that he was going to do that would not be received well by his own people. And we see that. So here it is. He's in this place, but he's in a place to where the people are great, the greatest congregation of the people, our people. Not just anybody, our people. And this is what we have to understand. Are you following?
Yes.
All right. Yahush returns to the Kinneret. After teaching from Kepha's fishing boat and the miracle catch, the 4 disciples forsake the fishing business and follow him. So we're seeing these things, once again, how they're playing out. We're seeing all of this. Let's go to Luke chapter 5, verses 1 through 11. And we're going to, this is going to be our last one. And this is 61 of the events that took place going up into each feast. Because this is the feast of Yom Teruah. This is what took place during the time of Yom Teruah coming to be fulfilled, or their time of celebrating Yom Teruah. All right, Luke chapter 5, verses 1 through 11. And it is so. All right, who's going to read that for me? You got it? Come on.
Luke chapter 5, starting at verse 1. And it came to pass that as the people pressed upon him to hear the word of Yahuwah, he stood by the lake of Gennesaret, and saw 2 ships standing by the lake. But the fishermen were gone out of them and were washing their nets. And he entered into one of the ships, which was Shimon's, and prayed him that he would thrust out a little from the land. And he sat down and taught the people out of the ship. Now when he had left speaking, he said unto Shimon, Launch out into the deep, and let down your nets for a draught. And Shimon answering said unto him, Master, we have toiled all the night, and have taken nothing. Nevertheless, at thy word I will let down the net. And when they laid this, and when they had this done, they enclosed a great multitude of fishes, and their net brake. And they begged unto their partners which were in the other ship, that they should come and help them. And they came and filled both the ships, so that they began to sink. When Shimon Peter saw it, he fell down at Yahush's knees, saying, Depart from me, for I am a sinful man, O master. For he was astonished, and all that were with him, at the draught of the fishes which they had taken. And so was also Yaakov and Yehukanan, the sons of Zebedee, which were partners with Shimon. And
that there was a point they returned. Fear will make you do some crazy things. Fear. But this is amazing how it just brings us to show why Yahush did what he did. This is why I can't understand why people don't want to follow. He's going to take care of us if we trust him and believe, and especially when he's given us something to do. That says, it came to pass as the people pressed on Yahush to hear the word of Yahuwah, lake of Gennesaret. Now, when we look at that the lake of Gennesaret is also called the Sea of the Galilee, the Sea of Tiberias, the Sea of the Coast, and the Kinneret or Heart Lake. The village of Gennesaret and the city of Tiberias is on the shore of the lowest freshwater lake on planet, 220 meters below sea level, which is in the heart of a kinnor. And this is a 22-string harp played in the temple service. So it's structured the way it was made. You know, he had a funny shaped legs. So his teaching he could amplify because of the shape of the lake, which made it even just that's just phenomenal. Now, when we look at verse 2, he saw two boats standing by the lake shore, but the fishermen had left them and were mending their nets. So that shows us once again, the first time around, when he said, follow me, they followed, but they went back. Okay? They didn't follow him all the way because it's like, okay, we did this, but we got to go back and we got to go to work because we have family. We have mishpachah to take care of. Verse 2, when Yahush first called the fishermen, two of them were still fishing and the other two were in their boat mending their nets. And we can look back at 55 and it shows us that. A few weeks later, when he returns to the shore of the Kinneret, they are all out of their beached boats mending their nets. These two incidents set up the scene where the fishermen finally forsake their family business and follow Yahush full time from this point on. See, when I would read it, my mindset was they were just out there doing something when they got the drought. But the reason why they went back is because they were trying to make sure they could take care of their families. Now, once again, this just brings all this together, showing us, once again, he's not going to tell us to do something and leave anybody hanging or out there in a lurch. Excuse me. Now we look at verse 4. It says, when he finished speaking, he said to Shimon, launch out into the deep and let down your nets for a haul. So Shimon retorted, Master, we have toiled all night and have taken nothing. Nevertheless, since you insist, I will let down a net. Now, once again, he might have said, nevertheless, and gave out his speech, but he did do what? Follow his instructions. That's all we got to do. If you want results, you got to follow. Excuse me. Yahush tells Keeper to let down his boat, and yet he lets down only a net, singular, in remonstration of Yahush's seemingly ignorant order to fish during the daytime. After the net breaking load, Keeper confesses his sins. First, that he did not follow Yahush when he was invited to do so a few weeks before, probably citing the need to provide for his family. And second, that he responded with minimal effort and no belief in the words of Yahush when instructed to let down his nets. So we see why he ran and fell down on his knees. See, just reading it, you just thinking he just ran and fell down. No, he repented because he was foolish in what he was thinking and in what he had done. Now, everybody understand what I read, right?
Yes.
Well, we got so excited, get to reading so fast, you're trying to slow down. All right, now, 5. The fishermen were invited to go with Yahush on this itinerary, but after the harvest of fish, they had the means to take care of their families and they followed Yahush. So now we see how it all came together. He just didn't give them a whole net of fish and use one net. But he didn't believe. He didn't believe, so he only used one net. But now they're able to take care of their family and be full-time in ministry. Just like that. So when you see things unfold, watch this, during the time of Yom Teruah, the time of trumpets. He's preparing them to be fully invested in this because he wants them to know, I didn't come here to do you harm, but I came here to do you great. Because this is my assignment and this is what the Abba has called me to do. So it's important for us to understand and draw from this that he's never going to tell us to follow him and not take care of us.
Right.
Can you imagine if Keeper had to put all the nets out there? How much? But think about how we do it when he tells us to do something. Because we are skeptical and afraid. This is why Keeper ran and fell at his feet. For so many years, I wonder, well, what was it made him do that? Because he realized he was wrong and because he didn't take it, he just took it like a grain of salt. Yeah, okay, whatever. And he just kind of, I'll humor you by putting one out. And he thought it was funny, because they were night fishermen. To do that in the day, how are we going to catch them young? And but broke their net. Hey, y'all come over here and help us. They had so much. That was the pivotal moment and turning point for them. That made them decide we can follow him wholeheartedly. It's important for us to understand that he has kept us and he will continue to keep us. We just got to trust him. And whenever he tells us to do something, just do it. And not be skeptical. Because you have to understand, he didn't bring us here to leave us. He didn't bring us here to forsake us. He didn't bring us here to have us laughing stock, but he brought us here to show us the ahab of the Abba. Once again, in this time of feast, as we will be celebrating the Feast of Trumpets next week on the 4th, which will be that Wednesday, the 18th of September. And we will have our Sabbath rest, which will be the 19th, which will be that 5th Yom. So I encourage you to join us. And then on the 6th Yom, a time of preparation. And then on the 7th, our Sabbath rest. Once again, keep your head up, keep your shoulders squared, and keep your heart and your feet in and upon the Torah, because you can't go wrong when you put your whole heart into what he's given to you. And that is his instructions. I am Aliyah Yasharal, and I am the Mora of Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom of Great Belief Congregation located in South Carolina. I want you to remember here at Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom of Great Belief Congregation, this is the place where the Torah does the body excellent. Until next time, may Abba Yahuwah Baruch atah and keep you in his shalom until we meet again. Also, I want you to remember that you've been touched by Champion TV, a place where the champions reside. And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.